Our last speaker for this session is Hemanshu Nigam. Hemanshu is an expert in cybersecurity, which is certainly a very timely subject for us to be looking at. He has experience in private industry, government, as well as law enforcement. He will speak to us today about cybersecurity threats and efforts we can make to minimize them. Himu.
Thanks a lot. I also want to thank Maria, who's out there, right there, because she arranged all this and made sure we showed up on time. I'm going to actually talk about something that is going to be without slides and different. I'm a pacer, having spent half my career in the courtroom. But one thing everyone always wonders about when it comes to cybersecurity is the numbers and things like that. To put it in perspective, the Pentagon, because I know you all are paying attention to what's happening in Washington, D.C., the Pentagon has 10 million hack attempts per, can anyone guess, per month, per 6 months, per year? Any ideas? Per day. Per day, 10 million a day. 1 million times a day, hackers are trying to get an individual like yourself. 1 million times a day, hackers around the world are trying to attack an individual. 30,000 websites every single day are victimized, and those are the ones we know about. 30,000 a day. 80 point, and I didn't memorize my speech, so 80-point-something% of the types of hacks that happen are actually connected to cybercrime. Not cyber terrorism, not cyber warfare, not counterintelligence activities, not the script kiddies, but to cybercrime, which basically tells you that this entire world of the cyberspace is now being run by organized crime, criminal activities, things like that. 80-point-something%. And why are we here talking about it? Because you're going to hear a stat that kind of seems like, well, what does this have to do with me? Only 10% of that 80% is actually connected to the hotel and hospitality industry. So actually, if in the grand scheme of all the sectors out there, it's a pretty minuscule amount. Now, I've spent my career actually being lucky enough. I've worked in the largest county prosecution agency in the world in LA. Did things like child abuse, rape cases, baby murders, all those things my PR person says don't talk about because the room goes like really sad and dull. Then I was hired by the Justice Department when America Online showed up. There's this internet thing, and we don't know what to do with it, but there are predators on it. So I became one of the country's first online crimes against children prosecutors. Went after predators, did cases in Dallas, in Colorado, and around the country, and actually spoke in this building 10 years ago with Attorney General Ashcroft, did a keynote for prosecutors and cops, 3,000 of them, to talk about how to go after online crimes. That was 10 years ago. And then for the last, and I have been inside the largest software company in the world, Microsoft. I've been inside the most significant entertainment company in the world, News Corp and Fox. Worked in the biggest social media company in the world, not Facebook, because they are today, but MySpace when they actually were relevant, as their CSO. So in the last 6 years, I've been traveling the country talking about these things. And just so you know, Maria, my timer's not on. So I just got myself more time, I guess. The last 6 years, I've been traveling the country helping companies who are going through this whole process of either we got attacked, we need cleanup, we're under investigation, we have a PR crisis going on, we don't know what to do about our policies when it comes to cybersecurity, all of these kinds of things. So when I was coming here, my PR person said, what are you doing? Why are you going to this thing? This is like a little part of the cyber world. And my friends were like, I know, you're going there for a boondoggle. It's a hotel industry, you're gonna have a blast. But guess what? Every person in this room, this industry has an opportunity like no other industry in the cybersecurity space that has come before you. It has an opportunity that you can't even imagine how powerful it is to change the course of where we're going in the next few years when it comes to cybersecurity, privacy, and safety. So let's take a look at the other industry. Those other people out there that don't fall in your sector, the financial, the food, and maybe part of it is the food, but they split out the food, the retail, the games and entertainment, all of these things that some of which you have in your world, but if you isolate them, what happens? I walk into a McDonald's, right? Or I drive through. There's a little sign there that's like this thing. It's like 35 seconds, 36 seconds, 37 seconds. And it's telling me, we're gonna get you in and out of here in a minute, maybe 90 seconds. If it's 90, I'm gonna get in trouble. I need to get it done in a minute. I walk into a retail store. I have a little cart, and everywhere I go, it's like something hits me. I wanna buy it, right? Like Costco, it's called the $200 store. You cannot walk out with a bottle of nuts. You're gonna spend $200 when you go there, right? It's designed for volume. Or I call the pizza guy. I've been living near this pizza establishment, a mile and a half from my house, for 10 years. I call him probably once a week, sometimes more. Every single time he answers the phone and he says, "What do you want?" And I tell him, and then he says, "What's your name? What's your phone number? What address do you want it delivered at?" And I've been calling the same guy for 10 plus years, and he does it, but he does it really fast. "What's your name? What's your mind? What do you want? What's your address?" It'll be 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Are you okay with that? Credit card number, please. And he goes through, and I hang up. And then sure enough, the food shows up, right? But if you think about it, every single one of these places, I leave a little crumb behind. All our customers do. You leave a bit of yourself, your credit card number here, your address there, your email address sometimes, a password they're gonna ask you to put in. I go into the Yahoo system, right? 20 million accounts were violated. 20 million people were going into their things, leaving a little bit of their things. But what happens with the industry, and why do you have an opportunity that's unlike the rest of them? Because when you see what hackers do, hackers go after where crumbs are. It feeds them. It's money. It translates to something in the black market. If I can get a high-value file, first name, last name, social security number, credit card number, address, email address, password, if I can get all that, it's a very expensive file. I can sell it for a lot of money in the darknet. So the more I can get, the more there is. But now look at what happens when these companies get hacked. What happens on the inside? And I was the guy on the inside. I was the CSO inside the company. When there was a hack attack, it was utter chaos, right? The PR people, Jamie, who's not here, was my PR person. She was saying, "I need something. What am I going to say to the press?" Wall Street Journal is calling, New York Times is calling, LA Times is calling, CNN wants you on air. What am I going to say? The CTO is saying, "Hold on. I don't actually know what really happened yet. I don't even know how bad it is." The CMO is saying, "Wait a minute, you're messing up with my deals. You're messing my contracts up. My relationships are hurt. My reputation is going bad." And that's the key word, right? The CEO is saying, "Why are you still working here? Aren't you the CSO?" And legal is saying, "Shh, don't tell anybody right now, because we're going to get investigated. We need to make sure we don't get sued. We have to worry about these things." And then a statement comes out. And if you read the statement carefully, it says, "We believe 20 million accounts may have been victimized. We believe 2,000 emails and passwords may have been compromised." Never says a word about customers. Never says a word about people. Never says a word about the guy who called that pizza establishment every single week for 10 years. But then let's take a look at yourselves. I walk into a hotel, you treat me like family. You know what kind of beds I like, king bed, not queen bed. You know what kind of floor I want to be on. I come from LA, I don't want to be on the first, second, or third floor. If that building crashes, I know what's going to happen. I want the top floor. And you have a little note there that always tells you. Walk into a hotel in Bangkok, I walk into a hotel in LA, in Amsterdam, in Vienna, you know what I care about. And you're really good at making me feel like family. Every single time I walk in, I'm like, you know what? You give me a place to sleep. You give me a shower. You give me food. You feed me. At 2 a.m. I call. I don't even worry that I'm going to get bad food. I don't say, "Who is this person who made it?" I call. I'm like, "I'm hungry." You take care of it. It's amazing. You treat me like family. So much so that you have my trust. I walk into a hotel. Here's my bag. There's a guy there standing there. I give it to him, and off I go. He says what? "I'll make sure it gets to your room." I don't ask, "Who are you? What's your name? Do you even work here?" I don't even ask, because I trust you. Your family, you treat me like family. And that's where that opportunity lies for every single person in this room. Because when that attack happens, the way you respond is going to be amazingly different, and I'm telling you this today for a reason, than all those other sectors out there. Let's look at your safety, security, and privacy in the physical world. And this is your teams who are, I'm sure they're not here, but this compliment goes out to those folks. If you look at the safety, right, there's that little hole in the door, the peephole. It's actually called a peephole. I found out last night. I Googled it. It's called a peephole. There's a peephole there that says, okay, who's knocking? Let me look, right? If I'm worried about security in some sense, there's lighting. All the pathways are looked. Somebody's walked around and said, make sure that there's lights visible here. Make sure nobody gets hurt. Everything is taken care of. When it hits 10 p.m., those locks go automatic lockdown. Where's your key? You need your key to get in. How many people have thought about, well, wait, how did that happen? I didn't see anybody lock it. It automatically locks. There's even a safe you put for me in my room in case I'm worried about my jewelry, my cash. I'm in Vegas, wherever I may be in the world. There was a safe in my room. I checked it, actually. And I trust you so much in the safety and security and privacy safe. When I call and I say, hey, is so-and-so checked in yet? Well, let me see. Well, we're not sure. Well, what room are they in? I'm sorry, sir, I can't tell you that. You care about the privacy of the people who come to your establishment. Well, I say, well, can you give me their room number so I can call them directly? I'm sorry, sir, I will call for you, but I cannot give you the room number. That's how much you care about the safety, the security, and the privacy. So now what happens when an attack occurs? If you really want to break this down and why you have this opportunity, take a look at everything you have done in the past, however, hundreds of years to protect that family. You have done something that's really interesting, and it's something I've talked about in the cyber world, but I've had this firm belief for the last 20 years that whatever happens in the online space and how to handle it can actually be learned from the physical world that we live in. We often treat them differently, but they're really one and the same. So look at what your guys have done, your security folks have done. They have done what I call outside in and inside around. I can walk in that door, into that lobby. Can I go into your conference room? No. Can I open up a guest room that's not mine? No. Can I even walk into your gym? Rarely. Can I go into the laundry room? I've even checked that. There's a little key there that says, no, you can't go in unless you are authorized to do it. So you may come in from the outside, but you can't go all around on the inside. It's an amazing way of doing security. Compare that to what's happened with all the other establishments before you. The hackers came in and they had free access to the database with the emails, the database with the passwords, the database with the home address, the separate database with the credit card. So start thinking about what you have already done, and let's figure out how to apply it to the world that you live in today. This is the opportunity that is being presented to you. Now, if you think about it, and this line I actually borrowed from my PR person because she said it last night. I was like, wow, that's a quotable quote. Hopefully there's media there. Somebody's going to quote me on it. She said, you can put a deadbolt on the door. Now what you have to tell the audience is put a deadbolt on the database. So when you start thinking about safety or security or privacy, look at it from the way you have already done this for years and years and years in the physical world, because it applies very directly to the online world. You can come into my network and break in, but guess what? There's privacy around the emails and passwords. They're encrypted. You can't go and look at them. You're not authorized to do that. There's a database. It's got security on it. It's got password protection on it. So you may have been able to get in through those firewalls and those walls, but guess what? You're going to get stuck there. That's where you end up stopping. Your path comes to an end here. And hackers are amazing in one way. They like to get in and get out very quickly. They rarely stick around and hover unless you keep feeding them. The more you feed, the more they hang out. But if you make it a pain in the neck, it's like robbers in the real world. They'll go and check the door. I can't get in. The bags, oh, the lights just went out automatically. Can't do that. Let's move on to the next house. They even make commercials out of it. Right? You guys have all seen that. So think about the opportunity that's presented. And the other thing that you have done amazingly well is communicate. If I open that little thing that has all what's going on in the city, where to go, the little things, there's always a section, and I'm amazed at how good this is. It's always a section about my safety. It tells me what you do. It tells me to be careful. It tells me to think about these things. You communicate it. You go into these other companies. I travel the country going into these other companies. The first thing I hear is, we don't kind of want to talk about that. We got hit? No, we don't want anybody to know. Well, we're doing this. You're doing such amazing work on the privacy of your networks. No, that'll make it look like we have a problem, so we really don't want to talk about it. But you think about it differently. You know how to communicate because what you are doing is taking care of family. And taking care of family is so much different than taking care of customers. And that's the opportunity that's presented before you. So when you're thinking about this attack that's coming, and I will tell you one thing, the attack is going to come. It's already happened a little bit here and there, but it's going to come, and this is why. Because when we talk about how high-value files, you know about what my likes are, my dislikes are. You have every knowledge of my credit card information, my airline numbers, you have my hotel numbers, you have my forms, you have all of these things about me. You know where I've traveled in your other establishments. You know my patterns. You know my wake-up time. Okay, sometimes you even have my wake-up time. You know I prefer a hypoallergenic room over a regular room. You know I don't want to stay near the elevator versus some other people. You know I would rather have a room facing the inside courtyard rather than the outside, even if that outside is the ocean. Right? So from a hacker perspective, I have left high-value crumbs, really expensive bread that they want. So it's going to happen. And how you respond is the opportunity that you have before you. You know, one of the things that is really interesting to me is when it comes to online safety or security or privacy, most of the time the reaction is, oh, God, what are we going to do? Oh, I don't want to deal with this. Don't we have somebody do that? The way I look at it is embrace it. Embrace it. You know what? Outside in, but inside around not. Nope, it ain't going to happen. I will let you come in even. I will assume you're going to find a way, but I am not going to let you take advantage. And that's one of the things that is different than what has happened before you to what is going to happen in front of you. That's the opportunity. So when you stand up and you walk out of here, you can stand up with confidence. You can say, you know what? I've been taking care of my family for hundreds and hundreds of years. Ain't nobody going to mess with that. That's how you should walk out of here. Okay? Thanks.